The newly discovered reports are of particular interest to the people who've studied it, as it tells a slightly different story than what's already been told. Such a turbulent time when I worked for it. Not one day went by without some confusion or trouble. I know you three are trying to hide something, but you keep talking about it. A made-up story. Turbulent times. No day without confusion or trouble. Governments, subsidies, and those recently discovered reports. Meet me tonight at Kirkrona Harbor. I'll make sure to have Neil and Matthew there as well, for a more full-on experience. But seriously, despite us having worked alongside you for the better part of 60 years, we collectively know very little about all the stuff that went down, given we only saw it from Cloven's Gate. The Sodor Mainland Railway Company was born, and now it was time to set things in motion. Well, I guess we'll just have to see how it goes. Have you made your mind up about passenger trains? Yeah, I'm not really interested. But I think there's something we need to break to you. There's too much work. So, I've already sent an order for 2 more engines to join us. And these 2 will be a little bit more equipped for the work we'll be carrying out. I promised I wouldn't do this for a while, but I guess we can ignore that for now. Thank you for covering. This is not a small achievement. You should be very proud of yourself. I certainly am. I assume that you're the new ones. That would be us, yes. I'm Whiff. And I'm Samson. We were very busy right from the beginning. After Whiff and Samson arrived, we were able to deliver a tight and effective service that proved to be very efficient. And safe to say, the public's opinion was incredibly positive. Already, despite only being in operation for over a month, we were already seeing the goals of the projects coming to light. We had achieved a better connection between the capital and the port, and we were providing several advantages that boosted the industrial scene on the island. That's 2 of the 3 main goals of the railway already being achieved. That must be an incredible feeling, providing so much growth to the island. It was a wonderful experience. All we were missing was the final of those 3 goals, a connection to the mainland. Indeed. And after 5 years, the railway was already exceeding expectations in a lot of regards. We were carrying more passengers than expected, more goods than expected. Generally, we were a lot more influential than we anticipated. So much so that after those 5 years, plans were already being laid down for expansions. And in order to work towards the goal of a connection with the mainland and Sodor, the next approach that was decided was to extend the railway to Vickerstown. It was a unanimous decision amongst the railway's board. Shortly after that, we were briefed about the plan, much to our, well, a lack of immediate enthusiasm. You didn't support it? Not immediately. Mostly because, like I said, we were already rather busy, so we were slightly worried about more work being placed on us. Fortunately, it seems the board had anticipated our reception of the idea and had already arranged for more rolling stock to join the railway. However, unlike us, Whiff and Samson beforehand, these new locomotives were not to be imported from outside Sodor, but rather, they were to be designed and built here on Sodor. Built on Sodor? I mean, I know the Cloven's Gate works can do a lot, but back then, was it even equipped for that? Well, when it first opened, it wasn't really that well equipped. It was just a single-track workshop. But it was steadily upgraded in the years following the grand opening, but even by 1863 it was still mostly equipped just for maintenance. However, overseeing much of the project was the railway's then chief architect, John Harvard Cherson, who also happened to be a very skilled engineer. He oversaw a massive upgrade of the works so it could accommodate the production of locomotives and rolling stock for the railway. It was the first major action that was taken before the actual extension work began. In the meantime, John had been designing a new class of locomotives for the railway. Production of these locomotives began immediately once the works were ready, and not too long after, the railway received its very first member, the so-called Sodor Mainland Railway Class 1. How do you feel? I feel great, like a brand new engine. I mean, I hope so, since you are, well, a brand new engine. I know, just amusing myself a bit. But to give an honest answer, I do feel great. That's wonderful to hear. Your name was Roger, right? Yes, that's me. Neil's the name, and this is Whiff, another one of your colleague. Well, I'll be looking forward to working with you lot. We are too. An engine like you will be a godsend given how busy we're expecting to be. I heard that. Hopefully, I can deliver on those expectations. Yeah, hopefully indeed. It'll also be a good test of your performance. Considering that we're looking to get 3 more engines like you. Well, there's a lot of pressure on my wheels then. Do you feel ready for trial runs? Yeah, I do. And with any luck, they'll go good. I'm sure they will. John is a good engineer. He's the one largely responsible for this whole setup, so it should be fine. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Well, Roger, your trial runs have been very successful. You seem to be a steady performer, with quite a big punch. Very satisfactory. How do you feel about them? It felt very good. Glad I could get my wheels rolling. And like you said, very satisfactory. I think I'm ready to start properly working. That's good to hear, since you'll be rather busy for the next few months. As you may notice, we've already got lots of construction materials here at Croven's Gate. Most of it is to be used for the extension. However, we'll also be carrying out an upgrade here at Croven's Gate to expand the capacity. And that's largely a result of a third construction project that will happen. You may have noticed some construction work near the station already. Well, that's to be a new narrow gauge railway, which will supply the copper mine with a better form of transportation. You also expected to contribute with that whenever you can. Wow, you weren't lying when you said busy. But I think I can manage. Excellent. As for the rest of you, you're expected to carry out your work as usual. Although I will be replacing Matthew on the morning goods train out of here with Whiff, since Farmer Allen will have an extra cattle train tomorrow. But otherwise, it'll be what you're used to. Is that understood?
Yes, sir.
Excellent. Good night, engines.
Good night.
Oh dear, he's late. Hello, Clive. 16 minutes behind. Hello, sir. I'm sorry about that. What happened? Well, we had a big supply of goods arrive just now, and it happened to clog up the yard a bit. So there I was running around trying to sort it all out. Matthew eventually joined, but it still took a lot longer than anticipated. We had to assemble the trucks into long lines, which on their own were rather hard to move. When I was finally able to leave the station, I was both exhausted and far behind schedule. I see. I had thought about whether or not you three would be able to keep up with those increased demands. I was hoping it wouldn't be a big problem, but it seems I was mistaken. I'm not blaming you at all, Clive, nor am I blaming Matthew. I'm more blaming myself. Anyway, it's clear to me that some alterations are needed on the assignments. It would probably be best if Roger was assigned to help run the railway instead of the construction, with one of you taking over. Roger is a lot more powerful than you, so it would be optimal in the long run. I agree, and I think services would improve as a result. Indeed, I'll tinker with it and get back to you about it. For now, I suggest you go and rest for a bit. That sounds good, sir. Thank you. Hello, Roger. Hello, sir. How are things going? They are going good. We're making a lot of progress at the moment. Although it's a bit boring just sitting around here watching the men do their work. Well, in that case, I have some wonderful news for you. You do? Go on, sir. Right, so the other engines are currently struggling slightly with increasing loads as a result of changing times. And who knows how bad it's going to be once the extension is complete. So, to help control the situation, I've decided, with input from Clive, that you should swap places with him. So he'll be taking care of the construction work while you help run the railway. I feel you've proven yourself enough for me to believe that you're ready. Well, that's very good timing indeed, sir. I appreciate the trust you place in me, and if that's the best option for this railway, then I'll happily contribute. I will do my very best to help the others. Excellent. That's all I needed to hear. So, what work will I carry out? Well, it'll be a bit of everything. Your design is well optimized for both goods and passenger services, so it's only proper that you'll be used on both. I'll get back to you as soon as possible with more details about that. Sounds good, sir. Looking forward to it. Me too, Roger. Afternoon, Samson.
Afternoon, Whiff.
Well, you seem to be in a chipper mood.
I hope that was meant to be sarcastic.
It was. You don't look chipper at all.
And I'm not feeling it.
What's the matter?
It's that Roger chap.
Roger? What's he done?
He has taken my spotlight as this railway's most powerful locomotive. For the past years that I've been on this railway, I've always been the one to rely on for heavy work. I was the one who carried out the most important jobs that the railway had to offer. And now, just like that, I'm being outshone by this newfangled hodgepodge of a build. The first locomotive ever built on Sodor is more powerful than me, an engine who was built in England, the most advanced railway country in the world.
So let me get this straight. You're mad because of Roger's existence on this railway.
Exactly.
And you're not thankful for the fact that he's been a great boost to the railway's performance.
What has he provided anyway?
He has provided a significant increase in available power, something that you were running out of by the time you started to help us. You have to remember, Samson, you were struggling before he came to help. If it wasn't for his contributions, you would still be overburdened with work.
I would have managed, thank you very much.
No, Samson, I highly doubt that you would.
Could you give me some support? It feels as though I'm being held back by more than Roger now.
What the bloody hell was that?
You look bothered.
I think bewildered is a better word.
Why so?
I had a very peculiar conversation with Samson.
What happened?
Well, I think Samson is jealous.
Jealous?
Indeed. I didn't think he would be the type of engine to get jealous, but here we are.
I see. Wait, let me guess. Is he jealous about Roger?
Yeah, he is. You knew?
Well, I had a feeling. After working with Samson for 5 years, I've gotten to know him quite well. And I consider myself rather good at reading others when it comes to how they act and such. And based on past interactions with Samson, I've come to the conclusion that Samson has a lot of layers. And one thing I didn't put past me is that he is perhaps a little bit of a jealous type. He doesn't like to get outdone or outperformed, because he fears losing favorable reputation with people and engines alike. And with Roger now present, and others like him on the way, I suspected that he would have a reaction like that at some point.
Huh. I didn't know you had that kind of talent. Impressive for sure, but it doesn't really help the situation.
No indeed.
Is it possible for us to make him distance himself from that mindset?
I think so, but it's not going to be as easy as one would hope.
Why not?
Well, going back to him being layered, what I've also gathered is that he has a tendency to be rather stubborn, so having him distance himself from that will not be straightforward.
I see. Well, I guess we have to dwell on that.
Indeed.
But one thing we probably should focus on is making sure that Roger is at least aware about Samson's stance against him.
I think that's a smart move. I'm headed back to Croven's Gate now, so I'll hopefully be able to make some contact with him.
Sounds good.
Oh, great. You can't just start working on this railway and not expect me to see what you're really doing. What are you talking about, Samson? Don't act like you don't know Roger. You mosey on in here and act like you're the best of the bunch. The most powerful, the fastest, and the best overall. But don't feel like you've won so easily. You don't know what I can deliver when push comes to shove. It's way more than you can ever dream of pulling. Just you wait. The day will come.
What's his problem, man? He's been nagging me ever since I started working here.
He just feels eclipsed, like he's being overshadowed by you. In short, he's jealous.
So he was the prideful one before then?
Pretty much. He saw himself as the most important engine on the railway, which admittedly is not necessarily a wrong assumption, since he was the main heavy goods locomotive.
which of course is the bread and butter work of this railway, but he really did let it go to a smoke box. And now, since he sees himself being challenged for that pride, he has gotten quite offended. I hope you're not taking it personally, it's out of your control after all. I know, like, why the hell would that be my fault? I'm not responsible for my design nor my capabilities. No, you're not, and I'm pretty sure that Samson would be able to figure that out if it wasn't for his jealousy. It really doesn't take that much to figure out. But speaking of figuring it out, how do we solve this? Well, considering how stubborn of an engine Samson can be, I doubt a simple conversation would be any good. So I do unfortunately think that it would have to be something a little bit bigger. Like, you might have to make quite an impression on him or something. And how would I go about that? Good question, to be honest. We have to let that sit for a bit. Yeah, I can't think of anything either. I suppose, in the meantime, that you keep a low profile around him. Don't want him to think you're rubbing it in. I get that. I'll keep it in mind. Good. Well, this is certainly nicer than the others on the line. No question, this shed is top notch. And one would doubt to think how things would have gone if it hadn't been for my contributions. No, Samson, I don't think anyone doubts your contributions to this project. They would be wrong to. I've worked my wheels and busted my boiler, all for the sake of the railway. Just for the railway? Of course, this is my home after all. I would be daft not to contribute where necessary. But is that the only reason you've been busting your boiler as much as you have? What do you mean? Cause I have a feeling it's for a different reason. Oh, it's you again. Mister, look at me, I'm the best engine on the railway. Samson, can you please just shut up? I will not listen to orders from you, Roger. You expect to be considered the leader almost immediately? Well, think again, I'm not falling for that. You wanna know something funny, Samson? No, actually, I don't. Well, you'll hear it anyway. I just came from Crow's Gates, and I was talking to one of the engineers who helped to build me. And he said something you might like to hear. What? In terms of tractive effort, you're more powerful than me. I knew it! I knew I was still the superior engine. I told you as well. You thought you could get away with it, didn't you? I thought not. You better sit back and watch as the true leader takes charge of the heavy operations. In fact, watch me go right now. All of a sudden, I'm starting to doubt on whether or not that was a smart thing to tell him. Well, I think you resolved his jealous side. However, it appears that you've now revealed his boastful side. And one is to wonder if that's more tolerable. If I'm honest, I doubt it. Great, have to deal with that now. Well, at least you tried. I guess so. but I don't know if I'd call it a success. Yeah, debatable. No, I'm willing to argue that was the right move. Why so? Well, I think the boastful nature of his newly equipped persona will go to his smoke box. Remember back in the day when the same thing happened? What did he do there?
He started to exceed his own capabilities.
Exactly. So maybe the same thing will happen again, which could hopefully highlight to him how important it is for him to receive help.
I suppose that's not a bad assumption, Whiff. Although it's probably something that Mr. Clover wouldn't support.
So, we don't tell him. We'll just let it happen. I'm sure he'll intervene anyway when the time's right.
I guess we'll have to wait and see. Samson, this is very stupid. This is way beyond what you usually handle. And definitely too much.
Don't threat, Sean. I know exactly what I'm doing. I'm the most powerful engine on this railway, and this will be a light load at most. Nothing to worry about.
Don't worry. I'm just finding my grip. Yes! There! I told you I could manage. This is not going to go well.
Samson, what are you doing?
I can't do anymore. Oh, for crying out loud, I told you not to take this big of a load. Alright, I'll go get help.
but I hope you've learned your lesson here. What are you doing here, Samson?
I've taken this train which is beyond my capabilities, and thereby the railway's capabilities. It will not be possible to take it all the way in one piece. We'll have to do it in bits.
Do we though? I can just pull you the rest of the way.
Look, Roger, I appreciate your enthusiasm to prove yourself, but since I can't take this one, then obviously you can't either.
Well, if you give me a helping buffer, then we don't need to do it in bits. Samson, what were you thinking? This train is almost double what you usually take. I know I've asked you to take both trains, but I gave you time to do them separately, not all at once.
I'm sorry, sir. I was just testing how much I could handle.
No, Samson. That's not what it was about, was it? Samson?
I was trying not to get eclipsed by Roger. There comes an engine who challenges my authority as the most powerful and most useful engine on this railway. And I felt like I had to fight it back in order to keep my reputation. I know you expect a lot from me, sir, and I didn't want to seem weak in comparison. So I've been trying my hardest to prove to you that I'm still the superior engine, so you wouldn't think less of me.
But think less of you, Samson. Where did you get that idea from?
I guess I have it from my former controller. He would constantly make comparisons between his engines and ridicule the ones that performed the worst, or worse than they had in the past.
Samson, you've been working for me for over 5 years now. You know I'm not like that. Comparisons. Samson, I've actually mentioned this a few times now, but I think comparisons are among the most damaging things a railway can do. It might motivate, sure, but in the long run it'll only do damage. That's why I don't do comparisons. Look, all I care about is that you do your work well and within your own capabilities. And on that note, Samson, you should know that I don't think any less of you than of the others, not even Roger. You've all done exceptional work and I've tried my best to show my gratitude. I hope you realize, Samson, that I am very proud of you and what you've done for this railway. And as long as you do the work I ask you to do, I won't think any less of you. But moving forward, Samson, you gotta promise me that you stop this jealousy mindset immediately. It won't do you any good, neither will it do the railway any good.
I'll try my best, sir.
No, Samson, I need proper confirmation. Will you stop that mindset?
Yes, sir. I will.
Good. Thank you, Samson. Now, since both you and Roger have a bit of free time, perhaps you should go to the sheds and talk things through to make sure that there's no more tension between you.
Yes, sir. We'll get to it.
So, the two retired to the sheds and they sorted things out. Roger managed to prove that he wasn't any engine who thrived from being the best, and Samson did let go of his old mindset, eventually resulting in him developing a lot of respect and admiration towards Roger. When all was settled, things immediately improved. The working efficiency of both surged, and the railway became more productive than ever. And, as we were finishing up the major construction projects of the whole extension, the remaining members of the new locomotives were completed. Riker was first, who was then followed by Remor, and finally Reed. These 4 engines allowed us to employ an unprecedented level of productivity, which saw the railway become more busy than ever. Reed, the final member, managed to be completed just in time for the opening celebration of the new extension in 1867, which saw a fantastic lineup of all 4 engines, showing the capabilities of Gate Works, which eventually began fulfilling orders from outside Sodor. Safe to say, we were very busy all of a sudden, but thanks to our latest additions, we were more than equipped to handle them. Eventually, the whole mainline was double-tracked, so we could accommodate for the increased levels of traffic. Things were looking good, and we would continue this prosperous running for another 10 years before we would see ourselves working on yet another expansion project.